Yeah, Skava's not in her ideal environments this time.
Or last time?
Or last time. I know.
Or any time in any dungeon? Like when was she?
Okay.
Basically, everything was good before you met us.
That's right.
I started to wonder why, actually. But
Well-
to have a writer's block, you should be able to write. I'm not, and I can't come up with a good reason either.
Well, at this point, I am only
Just
saying
stumbled
that
about you guys.
after your adventures roughly here in the ocean, that the ship comes back to the coast and proceeds properly down to this area, past these islands and to here, which, as you can see, is a major river system and is, as far as you are concerned, the start of civilization. And so this particular band of outlaw pirates, this is as close as they are going to get. And so they will deposit you here. And there is a major Bronze Age city there, which looks very much like the one in the Facebook picture, and has been there for a long time. I am going to suggest that this is actually where Jovan and Zort arrived on their way north, and that here they is where they organized their expedition and were able to join with Urko, because Urko, this is effectively your home city. As you may have seen from the occult write-up, to become an initiate of the buried dead, you actually had to have your brain blasted by magic to cancel your emotional ties to family and friends, to become dedicated to the gathering secrets for the cult and this other kind of information. So you may not have grown up here, but now effectively this is where your temple is, and that's where you live. So we'll treat you as the native of this area. And the idea here basically is where you say goodbye to everyone, and one presumes that you will follow this river up here to this area, which is effectively your home or your territory. So that's this is the point of departure for this phase of your adventure. But that doesn't mean we won't have some experiences here first. So let's see. This is the map I have stolen from an old gaming book for this city. And I'm going to say that it is not absolutely representative. Whatever is a little square here is not a single building. It is more like a system of buildings. So each little block is at least a distinctive system of buildings. So its scale is probably much larger than the scale that they have here.
Yeah.
For this is 30 meters, which means this is basically a small fortress. But for our purposes, this is going to be 10 times that size. And then, of course, if you walk it, here through this gate, you are not going to see two buildings, one on either side. It'll be more buildings than that.
Cluster.
Yeah, exactly. So that is we might as well steal the name, Okles, which means nothing. So why not? And then examine some features of the city, which is that it is obviously on an elevated cliff or fortress of some kind, possibly overseeing the ocean on one side. Also, you can see that it has two major entrances, one a major road in here, which clearly this must have been an original fortress that has expanded over the centuries. And so this must have been just a road long ago, which now is an avenue between walls. And let's see. I have not decided everything about this city, but I will point out some things. Here, this open space, here is the temple of the Queen of Night. And then here is the temple of the Bright Husband. So that's the major religious centers. And as with all things in the ancient world, what that really means is city administration and economics. And it's, the term temple is much more of a social administrative kind of center than it is just a place to walk in there and go, God. So then over here, however, and this is what this city is famous for, is the world's biggest temple of the buried dead. And that's what this great big place is. This huge complex. And it is notable that because I've decided, just because of what I see on the map, that most of the temples of the pantheon gods, like the buried dead and the hawkseers and some of the others, they are usually outside the major communities. They are set off a little bit, because in many ways that's a famous and universal set of gods, but they are not really city, family, normal gods. These are like the Greek gods. They are dramatic figures that figure in stories and adventures more than they figure in things like the seasons and farms and marriages and stuff like that. So that's why the temple is outside the city. It seemed to make sense to me when I looked at the map.
Is the temple itself connected to like a cemetery or a crypt system or something like that?
Well, it's kind of the way that it works is that unlike the name would imply, they actually don't do body handling. They are interested in the remains of the dead in forms of memories, whether it's objects or just information. So they maintain the memories, the priorities, and the information of the dead. And the memorials of the dead, yes. So I would say that instead of actually where the bodies go, they do maintain a place where they are remembered. So markers for the dead are very, very important for them. So there must be a system or part of this complex, perhaps even the outer portion, the more public areas are devoted to exactly that. And here we actually have. So I'll figure out somewhere where that would probably, I would even say maybe these huge pillars on the outside are dedicated to that purpose. So, and there may be surrounding it against the city wall. That maybe that entire area, which is quite a big area, is completely dedicated to those kinds of memories. So that's whatever markers they may use in the culture. So that is what I have in mind there. And where shall we start? I will say that for you, this is the end of your, technically supposed to be the end of your journey, because you can give the fascinating secrets that you have learned to the priest, and you can count yourself a success in this. But also, there's the question of what you two want to do. You could say goodbye to Urko and go. You are newly an initiate in the Bright Husband, so it's not that bad an idea to go and say hello. But on the other hand, you are a person with some wealth, and it probably is not going to be too hard to go to the proper place where people like you, probably in the upper city, would go probably as a guest of somebody who lives here. And so they don't really have inns and hotels. So so for Skava, it's a little bit different. You could also say, goodbye and head up the river home. The only other thing I would say as an option is that the goodwill of other temples is always a good thing. So the goodwill of the buried dead cult is certainly nothing to, certainly nothing to turn down. At the very least, they're noted for, all temples are noted for giving gifts to people that please them. And it's not ridiculous to consider that you would go with Urko just to be introduced and take it from there. But I'm not going to say that you have to either.
Yeah, I guess I will. I mean, we're not in a real hurry
Right.
anyway. I mean, we've been in the bush for ages.
Right. Yeah, true.
Spend a couple of days in civilization before planning the next travel. Seems logical.
Yeah. And again, I'm perfectly okay. You're under no obligation to, no direct obligation at this time to stay together in the party. It's kind of too bad that Nate is not here. There's a feature of his character which is pretty important for what I had in mind. So, we'll have to consider that.
Basically, I don't have any business in the city.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I would like to do is to find a group of people who are traveling in the proximate direction I want to go, because I don't think it's smart to go alone.
Right.
So one question would be, where would I find that group?
Mm-hmm.
Another question that I'd probably ask Erko is whether the people from his temple can help me to understand any of the things I saw in the dungeon when I was with Nate, aka Sword.
Yes.
So that's about it. Otherwise, I would try to get out of that stony,
Yes.
dirty,
You can-
noisy,
yes, so you can
smelling
take
place
one look
as
at this.
fast as possible.
Like, it is marginally better than the open ocean, but that's as far as you're going to go. So the question that Skava was asking, based on what you saw in the temple write-up, if anywhere has any answers,
That would be the
it
place,
would be this.
right?
This would be the place. And so that's a
So
possibility.
basically,
So
would
you have to
Erko
decide.
introduce me?
I'm a slow reader, so I don't
Okay.
get through it.
Yeah. All right. Well, the cult is, to summarize, the cult of the buried dead is all about, okay, mythologically, the cult says that this god is the one who arose when people who died still mattered to those who were alive. So, according to this cult, without them, we don't experience time. Where this is the cult that knows the past and looks forward to the future. So if you want to get all philosophical, you go back to all the myths of the origin of time, and they will tell you all about this. But what this means in practice is that they are always investigating forgotten things. And they are always learning whatever they can, and their big priority is to keep things secret. And decide when such information is important for others.
Basically, the Vatican.
Yeah,